Hello everybody and welcome back to Crafts with Louisa. Today I have a special guest with me for his craft debut. It is
Pastor Paul.
My friend Pastor Paul is here to work on a craft with us, so we're going to see if he can keep up with our crafting today. Before we get started, I wanted to share our story with you. So if you've been following along with our Firelight lessons, our grade 2 to 5 class has been learning about Jesus' healing ministry, and they're going to be learning about Jesus healing a leper in their story today. You can watch that full video over on our YouTube channel on Sunday morning. Today, our craft is going to be based off of our grade K to 1 lesson, and they're learning about Jesus' death and resurrection. So last week we learned about Jesus' death, and this week we're going to learn about what happened after that. So I'm going to read a story for us today, and this story is found in the Gospels, but today I'm going to be reading from the book of Mark. This is chapter 16, and this is about Jesus rising from the dead. So let's follow along. This is Mark chapter 16, starting in verse 1.
Now when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome brought spices that they might come and anoint him. Very early in the morning, on the first day of the week, they came to the tomb when the sun had risen. And when they had said among themselves, "Who will roll away the stone from the door of the tomb for us?" But when they looked up, they saw that the stone had been rolled away, for it was very large. And entering the tomb, they saw a young man clothed in a long white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. But he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going. Before you enter Galilee, there you will see him, as he said to you." So they went out quickly and fled from the tomb, for they trembled and were amazed. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid.
So our story left off last week with Jesus dying, and he was laid in a tomb because he was dead. But 3 days later, we learned that he rose again. So some ladies who were friends of his went to the tomb to put spices on his body. But when they got there, the tomb was empty. Where was Jesus? And we learned that he rose from the dead. And they said, "Go tell the disciples, tell them that Jesus rose from the dead." Now that seems impossible to us because once you're dead, you're supposed to be dead for real. But we know that Jesus is God's son. He has power over death and he rose from the dead. And we learned in our stories earlier that he did that to save us from our sins as a sacrifice to make a way for us to go to heaven someday. And that's the best gift. So I'm going to pass it over to Pastor Paul, and he's going to share a special verse with us today that will remind us of this story and help us with our craft in a minute.
Thank you, Louisa. So I'm going to read from the book of John, chapter 11. This is verse 25. This is Jesus speaking to his friends Mary and Martha after their brother Lazarus passed away. And this is what he says. Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this?
So Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life." This was before he even died, but he knew that he is life. In Jesus, we have life. So we're going to do a craft today that reminds us that Jesus rose from the dead to save us from our sins. So first off, I'm going to show you the supplies we need. Pastor Paul, I have some scissors, I have a hair dryer, and I have a hot glue gun. And I was thinking we were going to give you a new hairstyle today.
Perfect.
Sounds good? All right, take off the hat. I'm just joking. We're going to be doing a craft with the same supplies, but we will not mess with your hair. So we're going to be making some crayon art today. So if you have old crayons laying around your house, you might want to get those ready. And we're going to be doing a craft and with the sunrise to remind us that on the third day, Jesus rose again. And you can hang this in your room maybe or in your office as a great reminder that Jesus was the sacrifice for our sins. So watch this. So as you can see, our sunrise crafts are all done. And this reminds us that Jesus rose from the dead to save us from our sins. So when you make this craft or see a sunrise, you can remember to thank God for sending Jesus to save us from our sins. Before we finish our craft, we're going to write our special verse of the day in here. What was our verse, Pastor Paul?
Well, it was from John 11:25. I am the resurrection and the life.
So watch this. So we finished our sunrise crafts, and I hope these are a great reminder to you that Jesus died for our sins, but he didn't stay dead. God rose him from the dead to make a way for us to go to heaven someday. I hope when you see these crafts, these are a great reminder of that. Don't forget that all of our Firelight lessons are posted over on our YouTube channel, and you can watch those on Sunday mornings. And our next craft video will be ready for you next week. Thanks for joining us, Pastor Paul.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
See you next time.
Bye.